the new Team Modi. These are the first pictures that are coming in, and of course, most of them, I think all of them are wearing masks, which is a good thing to see. But a lot of eyes will be on this picture to get confirmations also on a lot of the names that we've been talking about. Payal Mehta is also joining us. This is said to be the youngest ever cabinet and council of ministers, Payal, and we're seeing the very first picture of the Prime Minister addressing them before the swearing in.
Yes, that's a general practice that these leaders are going to be sworn in as ministers in the coming days. You know, they will in fact be sharing some thoughts with the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister will be speaking to them. Importantly, you can see in the front row, you can see Jyotiraditya Scindia, you can see Sarvabhauma Sonowal, Narayan Rane over there, G. Kishan Reddy, Anurag Thakur, existing ministers in the government. Of course, Purushottam Rupala is one minister that you can see. But I can see three names: Shantanu Thakur, I can see Nijit Pramanik, and also John Barla here from Bengal. So essentially, that's where it really stands. Of course, this is actually a glimpse, because when the cars were passing and coming back, we were not able to gauge really whether we had seen the correct person or not. But a lot of names that you can see over here, you can see Hardeep Singh Puri. He's probably also due for an elevation over here. Kishan Reddy is also an existing minister, also hoping for an elevation. And also, Shobha Karandalaje coming in from Karnataka. So a host of new names, and probably one of the youngest as well. Of course, Sarvabhauma Sonowal, who was the Chief Minister of Assam, comes back to this national fold again.
Right. So that's the new Team Modi. And Payal, as we've been discussing, as we keep getting new information also, the complete rehauling of the health ministry, the complete rehauling of the education ministry, and so many other resignations that are coming in. There might be some who are, of course, due for an elevation, at around 7-8 of them. Then there are others mostly who are, newer, fresher faces. So this is, not just a reshuffle really. This is a complete rejig of the new Team Modi.
Well, absolutely, because, Narendra Modi made it very, very clear to his Union Council of Ministers when he spoke to them one of these, week or 10 days ago, saying that now the focus is going to be on delivery. The focus is going to make sure that we take people's aspirations into serious consideration and work around that as well. That is one of the reasons it's going to be very important to see how this cabinet really takes shape as well. You have seen Anurag Thakur, the existing minister. You've seen R.K. Singh, of course, the existing minister, Hardeep Singh Puri. These are the existing ministers who've been part of the government. Of course, you have seen Mansukh Mandavi, who worked very, very well during the pandemic. He was, of course, the minister for fertilizer. He's due to get an elevation as well. Another addition from Gujarat coming in, Darji and Yadav, who comes in from the industrial town of Surat, said to be very close to the establishment as well. She's also getting a look in as well. So obviously, the BJP now means business, and the government now means business, and that's one of the reasons. It's a decent blend of experience as well as new people who are going to take shape in a Narendra Modi cabinet. Ashwini Vaishnav coming in, one name that needs to be mentioned. Ashwini Vaishnav has been a former officer from Odisha. He's also been an OSD to Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the late Prime Minister as well. So obviously, a lot of focus being put in on the election-bound states, whether it is Himachal, whether it is, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, amongst the others as well.
Yes, we're getting some more pictures also of how the Prime Minister is meeting his new team and is addressing them. And of course, this is going to be a big occasion for several of them. A few of them, Payal, actually around the 40 years mark. A few like others like Jyotiraditya Scindia around the 50 years mark. And overall, the average age of the cabinet being brought down to as much as 58, which is in itself now said to be the youngest council of ministers that India has had in independent India.
Well, absolutely. It's the youngest cabinet. Like I said, it's a good blend of, experience as well as people who've come in new as well. And look at the way in which the Prime Minister is really addressing. And, along with the Prime Minister, to see the picture that has just come in, you have Rajnath Singh, Union Defence Minister, the former BJP President as well. You have JP Nadda, of course, the current day party President. Yeah. Amit Shah, who's the party President in the past and now the Home Minister. Somebody who took BJP to great heights, during his tenure. Of course, Nitin Gadkari as well, because all of us were really surprised to see Rajnath Singh and Nitin Gadkari over there, thinking if their portfolios were going to be changed, but they were there to grace the stage along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi as he was speaking to these new entrants.
Right.
As well as BL Santosh, of course, the BL General Secretary Organization also coming in over here. So a usual practice, and pictures coming to the fore, which tells you that yes, this is the big occasion for many of these people who come in to politics, with some aspiration, wanting to work for the cause of the common man. And these are the people who are actually going to be delivering the goods as far as the BJP is concerned, as far as the country is concerned. You have bureaucrats in the past like Hardeep Singh Puri, who has also been an independent charge minister in the current government. He's looking at an elevation. G. Kishan Reddy is coming from Telangana. Remember, it's not been a very, very easy rise for the BJP in Telangana.
Yes.
Kishan Reddy has been in the party for, I think, forever. He's been there in the party for more than 30 to 40 years now. Has played various roles as well. Has come into the union cabinet last time around as the MOS to Amit Shah. He's also looking at an elevation. So quite a task that you really see in picking. It would have been a very, very Herculean task to pick people. 2 or 3 Gujarati names that I can see over there, apart from Amit Shah and Narendra Modi. Of course, that is of Mansukh Mandavia. Like I said, he's constantly worked very, very hard during the pandemic. Purushottam Rupala was there. Darshana Ben Jardosh also over there. So quite a pick from Gujarat and quite a pick from Karnataka as well. Shobha Karanlaje, Rajiv Chandrasekhar to say the least as well. So obviously, and Pratima Bhaumik, let's not forget that, the northeast corner of India, where you have the state of Tripura. It has just about got 2 or 3 MPs. One of the MPs is Pratima Bhaumik. She's going to make an appearance in the Modi cabinet. So you can say it's a uniform cabinet where you have representation from possibly.
Yes, and that was the big focus, isn't it, Payal? A very uniform representation of all states and also regions within those states. That's what we were learning last evening, isn't it? And speaking of, some of these names, Payal, who's really the surprise here? I mean, are we going to see somebody like a Jaishankar, a lateral entrant, a technocrat who has been brought in? Is there any such surprise name that is also emerging?
Well, the pictures are there for everybody to see. I do not see anybody that I can't really recognize because most of these people, Shivani, are politicians as well. But, you are looking at 2024 in about 3 years' time. You are also looking at, UP elections as well. This is possibly not the time for the government to really experiment. And that's one of the reasons you have people like Ashwini Vaishnav, who's been a bureaucrat. He's been working with the Odisha government. He's also the OSD to Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Hardeep Singh Puri, all of these people who've had administrative experience, their experience could come good in helping the government reach its goal, because the government has spoken about inaugurating several projects, but the Prime Minister now says that the need of the hour is to make sure that you complete those projects, complete those developmental projects as well. So from the pictures, it's very difficult to gauge because everybody's certainly wearing masks, and it makes it even more difficult. But I can see Pashupati Parak also sitting over there. I can see the JDU MPs also sitting over there. Obviously, it is going to be important to see what really comes out of this and who is getting what portfolio.
Right.
But eventually the task is to work towards New India and work towards a better 2024 government.
Right. A big new induction into the new team Modi, really. Perhaps Modi Sarkar 2.5, really. Maria Shakil is also with us. Maria, if we just for a second focus on those who are getting an elevation, those who have already been MOSs or have been had some independent charge. Those names, what has really gone in favor of these names, the likes of Hardeep Puri, Kiran Rijiju, and others?
Yes. So, Minister of State in the Finance Ministry, Anurag Thakur can be seen as well. So he is likely to be elevated. We are also being told that MOS Home. Kishan Reddy is likely to be elevated, and he can be seen, seen in those pictures as well. So the clarity is that there are around 7 of them who have been present at LKM who are set for elevation. Hardeep Puri is a minister with independent charge of civil aviation and also holds the additional charge of urban development. He could be elevated to cabinet minister's portfolio. MOS Finance could be elevated perhaps as independent charge. That remains to be seen. We can see other leaders also present. On the corner is Narayan Rane, former Maharashtra Chief Minister and currently a member of Parliament from Maharashtra. Also in these pictures, while Prime Minister is addressing his new team, we can see the presence of senior leaders of the party and senior cabinet ministers from Rajnath Singh to Home Minister Amit Shah. Also, 2 leaders from the organization side, that is a BJP President JP Nadda and also B.L. Santosh, who is the organization secretary. So, as we have been saying, the organization is as much involved in the decision making as far as this is concerned, because the Prime Minister has got feedback from all corners and all possible sources this time around. B.L. Santosh had traveled to multiple states ahead of and has brought those feedback to the Prime Minister. JP Nadda, BJP President, can be seen. So is Rajnath Singh. Nitin Gadkari, senior minister and also former BJP President, is present in this meeting. So while we look at those who could be elevated, which includes, Anurag Thakur, Hardeep Puri, Mr. Kishan Reddy, even Purushottam Rupala, who is Minister of State for Agriculture, set for elevation. So clearly the clarity is that those who have worked, those whose performance the Prime Minister is satisfied with, they are being rewarded with elevation. In all, as far as those who have been dropped, that list is only growing and it is becoming longer. We'll get to know more details in just in some time from now. But the message is that the Prime Minister is continuing with the tradition of meeting his Council of Ministers. We saw that in 2014 when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was sworn in for the first time. Of course, that time it was in Gujarat Bhavan when he met the new team. And in 2019, it was at 7 LKM when all the ministers started arriving for a morning meet and greet. And at that time, we did even spot S. Shankar. So then it was seen as him as being the lateral entry and the big surprise.
Right.
The tradition continuing with the Prime Minister continuing with the meet and greet and communicating to his new council as to what is the nature of expectations that he has from them, because that is important, because going into elections in UP and 4 other states early part of next year and Gujarat in the later part of 2022, and of course building up to other elections in 2023 and finally the big battle for 2024. So the message before all this is, Shivani, we have seen some crucial rejig as far as formulation of ministry is concerned, a ministry of cooperation being created. And of course, and then, a finance minister being given more power in terms of a policy body which was earlier not part of the finance ministry has been brought under Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. So I think the message is very clear. This is going to be a Council of Ministers which will have more women, which will have record OBC representation. So balance is also a key, as we are seeing.
Interestingly, Maria, what's also emerging then is that if you look at the big four plus one of the MEA, which is, of course, the Prime Minister, Home Minister, Finance Minister and Defence Minister, plus the MEA, S. Shankar himself, the rest is really going for a change because health is being overhauled, education is being overhauled. As you said, more resignations could come to light. So there is continuity with the big four plus one. Apart from that, it's a massive rejig.
I will still be very careful in announcing whether there is continuity in any of the Council of Ministers or any of the portfolio just yet, Shivani. Because, we have seen surprises. We have seen unpredictability with which this government functions. So I will not be hazarding a guess at this juncture. But what we can see certainly is that the representation of allies of the BJP is increasing. We can see RCP Singh present there. Pashupati Nath Paras, who is the brother of late Ramvilas Paswan, is also present. That means for the BJP, they have also sent a strong message that for them, the real LJP is now with Pashupati Nath Paras and not with Chirag Paswan. So that is a message again going. But the presence of, senior ministers in this meeting, meet and greet that the Prime Minister is hosting and what he is communicating to his team is very important because, there have been a reshuffle review that has taken place over the last few weeks. Ministers were called in groups of 4 to 5 in which they were asked about their performance. The Prime Minister had all the details of how the ministers had performed and thereafter the message was about how they can really make it better, or perhaps the messaging is that if they have not performed, that they will be asked to resign. So we are seeing a long list of resignations as well.
Right.
Complete overhaul, as you were pointing out rightly, in the health ministry and also in the education ministry. The fact that Nishank Pokhriyal has resigned is also an indication of how the key idea of the government, that is of NEP, the National Education Policy, that they wanted to really go to town with, and also the changes that they wanted on other fronts. Maybe Mr. Pokhriyal has not really lived up to those expectations, and that is the reason why his exit is an important message. And at the same time, we'll be watching out for as to who will be the new health minister.
Absolutely. That is certainly has been one of the big headlines really as it stands, because we are still in the midst of the pandemic, even though the second wave has ebbed quite a bit.